Hello and welcome to Cheshire. My name's Richard Felix and I'm the most haunted historian. I'm going to take you on a tour of haunted Cheshire. Cheshire, the place that probably boasts more timber-framed buildings and haunted houses and also haunted pubs than any county in Great Britain. What better place to start this DVD than in the ancient town of Sandbach? And standing behind me here, two of the most magnificent Saxon crosses that you'll find anywhere. They were created in the 9th century to commemorate the advent of Christianity in Mercia. I'm going to start the DVD in a hotel that was voted by you as the UK's most haunted hotel. So settle back, give me your full attention, turn down those lights, and let me take you on a tour of haunted Cheshire. Well, I've arrived and I'm now going into this magnificent timber-framed haunted hotel to visit old haunts. Hello, Sue. How are you?
Very well, thank you.
Nice to be back.
Nice to see you again.
So, now Sue, you own this magnificent hotel. It's voted one of the most, or the most haunted hotel in the country, which is quite nice to say the least. I mean, how many ghosts have you got?
Well, at the last count we had 14.
All the different ghosts?
All different.
Not one ghost that moved that here and appeared there, but different?
No, the whole building, apparitions, ghosts, haunted goings on, whatever you want to call it, have been experienced in almost every part of the building here.
Crikey. Now, I mean, the site goes back to 1408, which is ancient, isn't it?
Yeah, the original house was built on this site in 1408, burnt down, and it was rebuilt as this manor house for Sir John Radcliffe, Lord of the Manor.
Gosh.
Lords of Sandbach.
Yeah, 1656.
Yeah.
Now, you've seen Sir John, haven't you?
Yeah, the one that they have identified as Sir John.
Really?
Yeah.
And where was it? Through this way?
Through here.
Shall we go and have a look? Show me exactly where you saw him.
Yeah. He was stood here, sort of with the mirror behind him.
Right, now of course mirrors do have, I mean, okay, people say, yeah, come on, there was somebody standing there and you saw the reflection of a person in the mirror. That's what people will say. But mirrors do have some sort of effect on spirits, where for some reason people actually do see things in mirrors. Did you see him in the mirror?
No, I saw him standing here.
So he wasn't a reflection?
No. I saw his reflection as he moved into the restaurant, because the mind will look for a logical explanation.
We all do.
Yeah, and this was 10 o'clock in the morning, not 4 o'clock in the morning. I'm sitting there with a laptop,
right,
up, see him staring at me, and look around to sort of think, there's only me and my son in the building. Where's Daniel?
Right, which is what everybody does, convert it straight into reality. It must be Daniel, it must be someone else, real.
But then saw him, the reflection in the mirror, walking through into the restaurant.
What did he look? I mean, could you recognise him?
Very tall. Yeah, I've seen him 3 times. I actually saw him in here once. I was sat talking to one of the waitresses, and the standard peripheral saw something.
Yeah, out the corner of my eye.
Turned round thinking somebody had walked into the restaurant, and he was stood there.
So he didn't disappear out of the corner of the eye, you turned and looked at him?
No.
Because a lot of ghosts, it's caught out the corner of the eye and you don't see any more.
No, I actually saw him full on, and he just disappeared in front of me. And I turned to the young girl and said, "Did you see that?" And she didn't, but she freaked. "Oh, what have you seen?" And went running out, but people think if you see a ghost you're going to go running screaming.
I know they do. You don't.
You don't.
No, that's the amazing thing. You actually, first of all, convert it to reality.
Yeah.
Then, when there is no reality, you realise, oh my God, I've seen a ghost,
Yeah.
but most people aren't frightened when they do.
No.
Isn't it strange?
No. I've always said it. This place, the atmosphere here is lovely.
Oh, it is. Yeah.
And they can't hurt you.
Of course they can't. No, it's the living you've got to worry about.
So, but I think if you look for them, if you think, I'll sit and stare long enough, or I'll sit in a certain, but you won't see anything.
It doesn't happen.
Usually when my mind
when
is
you
completely
least
full of
expect
something
it,
else.
you're not
Yeah.
thinking of ghosts,
Yeah.
and that's when it suddenly
That's
happens.
it.
Absolutely
Yeah.
right. Yeah. Now you've also, of course, got haunted bedrooms upstairs,
Yeah,
have you not?
yeah.
Can we? Can we
Yes,
go
of
up and
course you
see?
can, yeah,
Oh,
no
that's
problem
fantastic.
at all. Yeah.
So is it all right if I borrow the keys to? Is it room 11 is extremely haunted,
Room 11
and
is
my old
most
room,
notorious.
room 6.
And room 6.
All right.
You had that experience.
Fantastic.
There you go.
Thank you very much. I don't know whether I dare do this alone, you know.
Oh, of course you can.
I'm all right. I've got a cameraman with me. Right. Well, upstairs. It's a little while since I've been up here, and to be honest with you, I don't like it here. I had quite an interesting paranormal experience in the room here. But first of all, we'll go to room 11, which is reputedly the most haunted room in this hotel. But I mean, just the corridors alone and the doors everywhere, sort of, it just gives you that spooky feel. It really does. It's got vibes, especially when you're on your own. It really has. And on we go, ever onwards to room 11. Oh boy. Lights are on. I presume someone did that for me. Hopefully. This is the most haunted room. People often smell burning in this room. And remember that this building was burnt down, so there is a possibility, but none of the timbers were here from the 1408 building at all. There is a ghost in here. There's a ghost of an old lady. She sits over here and she knows she's dead, and they say that here by the wardrobe, hope there's nothing in it, this area here is the portal where spirits come through into this building, all 14 of them. And the old lady apparently is the custodian. She remains in here, she sits there guarding the portal to stop any evil, spirits coming through. Now I'm not sensitive, I sense nothing. I have seen 2 ghosts, I have heard a ghost, but I personally wouldn't like to be in here on my own. But I've brought my dowsing crystal with me, just to see if anything does happen, just to see if she is here. By asking, all you have to do is ask questions, yes or no. Yes is to the right. Is there a spirit here now? Is there a spirit where this chair is now? Is the old lady here? If she is, give me yes. If she isn't, give me no. Is the spirit of the old lady here at this moment with me in this room? Certainly starting to move, and I hate to say it, but it is going to yes. Tells me she's here. And stop. Just one more thing to ask in a minute. Now, the portal is supposed to be here, more or less where the wardrobe is, but ghostly goings on have happened through here in the bathroom, so let's go and try it in there, because this is obviously the bathroom wall. So if we go in here, things happen to people. There were 2 paranormal investigators here doing a vigil. They were staying all night, and one of them was in the bath, and he was held under the bath by unseen hands, we know not who. And if there is a portal here, it's full of energy. And we'll just see if in fact it sets it going. Now what I want to happen, if there's energy here now, if there's energy here at this moment, then the crystal should actually start going that way like that, instead of round in a circle. So we'll just stand for a couple of minutes and see what happens, and see if there is energy coming through from this area now. Basically no, nothing's happening. Does that mean it's not true? Or does it just mean there's nothing here at the moment? Nothing coming through? I don't know. I'm not an expert at this, but nothing's happening at the moment. But where I want to take you now is to room number 6. Something very interesting, and it happened to me in that room. Back down the corridor. And here, room number 6. I had this room about 8 months ago. Not a very big room, but I'd actually been in here. 2 things had happened to me. I'd been laying on this bed reading 2 ghost books. It was about 6 o'clock. There were 3 taps on the door. I thought I was wanted. I thought I was needed. So I opened the door, see who it was. Nobody there. Went downstairs. Nobody around. I really don't know who it was, but I didn't think much of it. It didn't seem particularly spooky. I'm sure there was an explanation for it. But something much worse happened to me at 5 o'clock in the morning. We'd finished filming here. I came up to bed, opened the door, walked in, and my 2 books that I'd been reading the night before were up there on the window. There was a very thin book, much thinner than this, a ghost book that I'd been reading. That was perched like that. And on top of it was a much, much thicker book on myths and legends, resting on the book. But the other book was much thinner. And it took us over 4.5 minutes to actually get the 2 books to rest and to stand up. Like that. I have no explanation for it. No one else had got a key but me. And then I thought, well, perhaps there's a skeleton key that the staff had got, and they came in and did it. The staff weren't here. They'd all gone out and left us to it for the night. I really, really don't have an explanation. It was real poltergeist activity. That's the sort of thing that poltergeists do. They pile furniture up. They do strange things. And in my opinion, that was strange. Poltergeists, we believe, are playful spirits. Some people think that they're mischievous, that they're evil because they throw things. But do you know of anybody that's ever been hit by anything that a poltergeist thrown? They haven't. Because just before they actually reach you, they go off at a tangent, just as if unseen hands have moved them. In my opinion, poltergeists are crying for help. They want to be noticed. They want us to know they're there. And I'm sure that's all it is. It's a cry for help from the spirit world. Please send me. Please help me to go to the light. Help me go to where I should go. Because for some reason I'm earthbound. And that's what I think we should be doing. Trying to help these spirits. But this room, if they gave me this room again, if I came back to stay here, I wouldn't stay on my own. I promise you. No! What's the matter?
Back in there again.
Why?
I was
What?
taking photos
In room 11?
in room 11 and went to a chair, took a close-up of a chair, turned round.
Not the chair where the old lady
Yeah,
sits?
sat, took a chair,
Right.
and then the cups that were like that started going.
Oh, yeah.
No, they really did, because I thought, oh, it's traffic. But then other cars...
Do you realise how far away from the road this place is?
No, I don't. I thought... we were right
No, we're not. There's a big drive out there.
Doing that.
You are kidding.
I'm not kidding. They were properly doing that.
Shall we go back and have a look?
Only if you come with me.
Honestly, Del.
Honestly.
Oh, yes. Come on, let's go and have a look. Quick. I mean, you were in there on your own, taking photographs. Yeah. And could you see them moving?
Yeah.
You actually saw them move? Oh, no. Quick. You know, you weren't walking, were you?
No.
I mean, I'm not being funny. You know, walking round.
No.
That could perhaps.
I wasn't moving because I stood still, completely still, because I was... what?
I mean, the road's a long way.
Well, even if you're walking them, they were doing this.
Oh, no. Well, I know you're not making it up. Well, that's amazing. Very seldom do things happen to us. Very seldom do things actually happen to us on the programme. But I think that is a very, very nice way to end our trip to Cheshire. Shall we get out of here?
Yes.
Come on, Del. Now, Claire, we're very close to the Eastgate clock, and rather an unusual place to be haunted, but Thornton's chocolate shop.
We have Thornton's behind us, my favourite shop in Chester for two reasons. First of all, the fabulous chocolates.
Yeah, of course.
Secondly, it's home to the ghost of Sarah, one of our poltergeists. Rather sad story. Sarah was engaged to one of these cads who live here in Chester.
Yep.
He stood her up on her wedding day, left her at the altar. She returned here to her home in her wedding dress and decided that she couldn't take life without him. She hung herself, and her ghost still haunts this building behind us today.
Right, now, I mean, where was it? Up on the top floor or second floor? Or something?
Thought to have been on the second floor level. Lots of paranormal activity happening here. In fact, an American tourist a couple of years ago in Chester was up on that floor and decided that she didn't believe in ghosts and said so out loud. She felt a very sharp push between her shoulder blades and ended up at the bottom of the stairs on her behind. And I think she left Chester believing in ghosts.
I can imagine that. Now tell me, you were telling me earlier about the things in the windows. Things actually revolve and move.
That's right, strange things happen here on ghost tours. Quite often the window display, hanging things will move around as I start talking about Sarah. Quite often they'll stop and then start turning the other way. It's always good entertainment to the group. They always think that's part of the ghost tour.
Yeah, but I mean, there is obviously no draft or anything like that can cause it to happen, I
I've been
presume.
there and checked for drafts, and there's nothing at all that I can find. I really think it's paranormal activity.
Now, I can't believe we've come all the way from Derbyshire and we walk into a Thornton's shop. I mean, obviously all Thornton's chocolates are made near Alfreton in Derbyshire.
That's right, yes.
But a haunted Thornton's shop as well.
Yeah.
So, I mean, has anything happened to you?
At Valentine's, it's the main sort of time.
That's what Claire was saying, yeah.
Sarah, the ghost's most active. All of the hearts tend to get thrown about, but rather than just falling onto the floor, you know, they're sort of strewn across the rest of the store rather than just being directly on the floor.
So we're not talking of something slipping off that's not been put up properly.
No.
We're talking of
sort of throwing
major poltergeist activity that goes on.
It's mainly at Valentine's that happens, and you know, as soon as we start getting the hearts into the store, then they are sort of disarrayed off the shelves at times.
Really?
But also, you know, when customers have been in as well, they've said that they've sensed something not very nice here, and we get quite a lot sort of Americans and everything who are very interested in it.
Yeah.
But you know, sometimes chocolates do just sort of fly off the shelf when we're actually serving customers, and we just joke about it now, saying it's Sarah throwing the chocolates around.
Oh, I say, that is fantastic. That's great. Well, I've never been inside a Thornton shop before, not up to the top floor and not into the storeroom. But I mean, is there a reason that we're in this room?
Yes, this is where Sarah actually hung herself. Supposedly there were beams across and she actually hung herself in here.
And does anything happen? I mean, to yourselves, to the staff?
This is our staff room.
Right.
And, you know, quite often they say it goes very cold when they're up here and they can almost see the breath when they're breathing. And they
really?
Get sense, but only sort of at certain times, normally around Valentine's.
As usual, yeah.
Yes.
And I mean, do things move or anything like that in here?
Yes, things get knocked off the shelves in here and, you know, coats and things like that are strewn across the floor.
Crikey. But I mean, she doesn't do any harm to anybody?
No, she doesn't hurt anyone at all, no.
I mean, you see, a lot of people think poltergeists are evil, throwing things around, but I mean, this is only my theory.
Yeah.
I think she's actually trying to get people's attention.
Yes.
She wants you to know that she's still here.
Yeah.
And I think it's probably because she committed suicide.
That's right.
And she actually is trapped here because she daren't go, because she committed a sin, she's taken her own life. Hence the fact she's still haunting this place, and probably always will.
Yes.
Unless we get someone in to
that's right.
send her on her way.
Rest, yeah.
It's a possibility, but then again, the only problem with that is you lose your ghost.
Yes, I know.
And
It'd be a shame. We're quite attached to her now.
Exactly. So she's probably quite happy here, actually.
Yeah.
But what a lovely story. And Sue, thanks so much for actually letting us come inside.
You're welcome.
It's great.
Thank you.
Thank you. Right, now Claire, we're in St John's Street. I mean, this looks a very ordinary sort of pub. It's nice, it's old, but what's special about it?
It is, well, it looks very innocent from the outside, but lots of hauntings happening inside, and especially in the cellar area. The story here that during Victorian times, a very prosperous pub, one of the best to visit anywhere in Chester.
Right.
But as times went on, the more and more people started leaving. The landlord was in severe financial trouble. His wife ended up leaving him for another man, and he faced the debtor's prison. And he decided that rather than go to the debtor's prison, he'd take his own life, and he did that down in the cellar in the pub. Apparently he took a barrel of his best ale, a big knife, leant over the barrel and slit his throat side to side, so quite a gory end for him.
Just a bit, yeah. And he still haunts the place, I presume.
Haunts the place today.
Gosh.
Apparently the sign writer who wrote this sign has seen his ghost, although he wasn't able to tell anybody exactly what he'd seen.
But it's a special sign, is it not?
It's rather special. There's a rather special spelling of the word Marlborough. As you can see, we've got an extra OR in the word.
Oh, yeah.
The story goes that the sign writer got to the end of the first OR in the sign, decided it was lunchtime, went inside for a pint and a ploughman's. While the landlord was pulling his beer, the barrel went, and he asked the sign writer to go down in the cellar and change the barrel. 30 seconds after getting down into the cellar, he shot back up the stairs, left the pub. He was white, he was shaking, didn't want to talk about what he'd seen at all, just wanted to finish his work and leave Chester. And apparently he was so shaken he hadn't actually realised that he'd already half completed the sign. And
he did it again?
He did
2 ORs?
That's right.
So that really makes this pub very different, well, to any other pub in Chester.
Very different indeed, and it's really at the heart of people who live in Chester. A couple of years ago they tried to change the sign and put the spelling right, and the people in Chester were uproar about it, and it went back to the original wrong spelling.
Amazing. Well, shall we nip in and perhaps have a drink and go down and look in the cellar?
Okay.
Right, well, we're in the cellar of the Marlborough Borough, and with me David Drew. You're the landlord. Now, you've only been here about...
Oh, it's less than 6 months.
Really?
Now, and incredible things are happening.
But you are a medium, spirit medium?
Yeah, I've been a medium, psychic all my life. I've been practicing for more than 30 years.
Wow.
I bought the pub more or less to semi-retire. I've been travelling the world for a long time.
Yes.
I've had enough of it. I thought I'd escaped that now. I thought I'd finished with all that. And I come in here to find all sorts of goings on.
Really?
Fascinating, yeah. I mean, not just me. I'm expected to hear and see and feel.
Yes, of course.
But members of staff, members of my family, my daughters in bed at night hearing beer barrels rolling around. And it was hard work at first. And I'm like, oh no, go back to sleep. I'd be so, you know. And then one night I came down here to do something with the beer, and I've had a long, hard day, and I'm hearing a voice. I didn't see anyone, but I'm hearing, David, David. And I'm like, please, I've had enough, I'm too tired, I'll talk to you another day. I did what I had to do when I went back to bed. I've since had more time, and this was an ex-landlord. In fact, February 2005 we're in now, this was February 1905, so it's 100 years ago that this landlord slit his throat, actually sat on a beer barrel.
What, here? In the cellar?
cellar, right where we stand. And he was suffering with some kind of a real depression. He was going through whatever it was he was going through. I don't have a problem with him, but he likes his cellar. He used to keep a good pint.
Right.
He's helping me because we keep the best pint in Chester.
Fantastic,
But
yes.
he slit his throat.
But it was a common thing, you know, for people to do that. That was a way of committing suicide. God help them. No, I can't.
But,
no. Hanging and slitting of throats.
He is not like a bad ghost, a bad spirit.
No.
He's welcome to stay here.
Yeah.
And he likes it here. I'm getting along well with him now.
Crikey,
And that's just
mate.
100 years ago. But I've only been here a few months, and it's like this is his cellar. So
Yes.
I respect him for that.
This is probably why he's here, do you think? He loved the place, he was a good landlord,
Yes.
this was his life
Yes, it was.
and his death, and he's still here.
He is, and he likes to be around, and I don't have a problem with him. But I say, at first it did spook my wife and my children, but I think they've got used to the idea now.
Yeah.
But very often of a morning they'll say to me, I heard him again last night rolling those barrels around.
Yeah, but you see, as you know only too well, people just tend to live with the ghosts. They talk to them, they accept them.
Yes.
You know, they once lived here, and it was once
If
their
anything,
building.
he will be helpful to us.
Yeah.
He's not a hindrance in any way, shape or form. I haven't actually seen him yet. I have seen sort of I see people in spirit very often. I haven't seen him, but clairaudiently I've heard him talking
Yes.
to me.
Yeah.
And he comes across as a helpful guy.
That is amazing. Fantastic, David. Nice to have met you. Thank you very much
Spend
indeed.
more time down
Thank
here.
you. Yes, love to. I'm at Tarporley. I'm inside a very, very nice pub. This actually goes back to the 16th century. It is actually labelled as the 6th most haunted pub in the whole of Great Britain. But there's a sign above me here which says, please mind your head. But you wouldn't believe how apt that saying is. But I'm actually now going outside to tell you the whole story. And you just would not believe how apt that sign was inside the pub, because I am actually standing outside the pub called the Headless Woman. And it's the most amazing story. In the English Civil War, Hockenhall Hall, which is literally just over the fields there, was a royalist stronghold, and Oliver Cromwell's soldiers were on the way there, and so they buried all the family silver and the treasure in the garden, and all the royalists left, but they left one person behind, a maid called Grace Trigg. They believed that she wouldn't be harmed by being just an ordinary woman by Cromwell's soldiers. Well, they ransacked the place, they couldn't find anything of value, and so they locked Grace in an upstairs attic room and tortured her. She would not give any information away. She would not tell where the silver was buried. And eventually they dragged her outside and beheaded her. And ever since that dreadful event, her ghost has been seen walking from Hockenhall Hall, which is just over there, along the bridle path, coming across the fields here. And if you can actually see just here is a stile, and she crosses the road and walks here into the pub. Now, it's an amazing story, but it's been corroborated on many occasions, because the number of lorry drivers, bus drivers and motorists that have actually seen this woman crossing the road, some of them have pulled up and stopped, and one or two people have actually said they thought they'd hit her and have stopped their car thinking that they'd actually run someone over. But of course, they get out of their car, run back to the spot where they believe the body to be, and of course there's never anybody there. And here's an interesting story. I'm in the centre of Crewe, and I'm standing in front of the Edwardian Lyceum Theatre. It was built in 1911, but it stands on a very old site, a frightening site. In the 1850s this was a Roman Catholic burial ground, and I don't think that some of the people that have been disturbed are very happy. There are various ghosts in here, including that of what's believed to be a monk that wanders around the place, but in my opinion I think it's more likely to be a Roman Catholic priest. But there are two other ghosts. The ghost of an actor who obviously loved appearing here so much that he still appears to this day, and also a ballerina who unfortunately hanged herself in her dressing room. Things got so bad that in 1969 they actually had to have the place exorcised, and things calmed down for a few months, but then things started to hot up again, and in the 1970s both the actor and the ballerina were seen together standing at the back of one of the boxes while a performance was going on. The amazing thing is that both the children who were sitting in the front of the box and most of the audience actually saw nothing, but one or two people actually stated that they saw the couple standing totally engrossed in the play. What that play was, I don't know. Why they were so engrossed in it, I don't know. But all I know is that even to this day, those two ghosts still haunt the Edwardian Lyceum Theatre here in the centre of Crewe. This is the Church of St Mary's in Sandbach, and there is a ghost story concerning a figure that is frequently seen wandering through this, what I find extremely scary archway, and wandering down this path and disappearing at the bottom of the road into the high street. Here I've noticed probably the biggest collection of remnants of Saxon crosses that I've ever seen anywhere. And I find it strange that there is actually a ghost in a graveyard, because, to be honest with you, I would have thought it was the last place for a ghost to haunt. But they do say that the first person buried in a graveyard is actually put there as custodian, forever to haunt the graveyard, to protect the rest of the inmates against evil spirits. But a strange thing about graveyards, no one likes to be in them alone at night. I'm not particularly happy being here now, and it isn't even dark. But people often ask me why do we never see the ghosts of modern people, that we only see old-fashioned people? And I have to say that I believe to a certain extent that it is the fault of the church, because for so many hundreds of years the church ruled by fear, and anybody who had done wrong, either murdered, taken their own life, or committed any crimes, in olden days of course believed that after purgatory that they would be condemned to eternal damnation and hellfire. You often hear, of course, the words, a God-fearing man. What does that mean? So in other words, these poor unfortunates, when they died, remained earthbound. They daren't go to the light. They daren't go to where they thought they should go, to the pearly gates, because they feared that they would be turned away to hell. Hence the fact that those poor unfortunate souls are still earthbound to this very day. Right, now we're in the amphitheatre right in the centre of Chester, and with me, you're Caius.
Caius.
Now you're not only obviously a guide, both ghost tours and of course Roman.
And Roman, yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, you also know the story, of course, of the Roman soldier that haunts this area.
Yep, it's a story of a decanus. Now, a decanus is a man in charge of 8 men.
Right.
And the 8 men in this story actually lived in one of our corner towers of the fortress. Now, obviously the guards are changed regularly throughout the night out of those 8 men. the Decanus always made sure that he was on a late shift.
Right.
For the simple reason
Wonder why.
he decides that he can get off the wall while he's on his guard duty and disappear and see his local girlfriend.
Right. Nothing changes, does it?
Nothing changes. We're all soldiers at the end of the day. Yeah. But unfortunately, this backfires on him because the villagers have actually tricked him into seeing this young lady. While he's away one night seeing his young lady, the villagers actually climb this rope and get into the corner tower and kill the 7 remaining soldiers that are asleep in their beds, obviously because they presume that the Decanus is doing his job being on guard duty. The Decanus returns back to the corner tower, as he's done for the past couple of months, climbs back into the rope and finds that the soldiers have been slain and most of their kit has been stolen. Knowing that he's going to suffer the punishment of an agonising death, he decides to draw his gladius out, stand on top of the wall, placing it in his stomach, and decides to fall forward and give himself a soldier's death himself. A true soldier's death is where the sword is placed at the back and forced down. But obviously being on his own he can't do that, so he has to do it that way. And people firmly believe that they've actually seen the soldier walking across the wall.
Really?
Yep. People have actually said, I don't know you have Roman soldiers out at night.
Usual story. In other words, people think it's a guide, it's a reenactor
doing his thing.
Until they realise there is no one.
There is no one. We do tours at night, but not late at night.
No, of course not.
So people have actually seen it up on the walls.
So in other words, they are seeing the ghost of a Roman soldier.
Also, the reports that we've had, they've actually described the soldier the way he's dressed, and they think that it could have been the 20th Walera Weetrix, who are actually here, stationed in this barracks.
Now that really does add credibility to the whole ghost business.
These are just people that have come in, tourists. They've not been primed.
No,
they just walk along and they've just made comment about, oh, we thought we'd seen a Roman soldier. So,
but in fact, they haven't. They've actually seen the ghost.
Yeah, if they want to come see us, they come to the museum.
That's amazing. Yeah.
There you go.
Yes, that is amazing. Thank you very much indeed for that.
All right, thank you a lot.
I'm in the village of Church Minshall, and over there is the pub, the Badger. To the left of me here, the churchyard, and down here a very, very old brook. Very interesting ghost story, to say the least, because the place seems to be haunted by inhabitants or ex-inhabitants of the pub and also of the village. There's an interesting story of a little boy who was actually drowned here in the brook, and his ghost is seen inside the pub, and also strange things happening in the landlord's daughter's bedroom, where she's woken up in the morning to find all her clothes wet through, which is very, very strange. These are the clothes actually hanging in the wardrobe rather than clothes she's wearing. And he has a lovely saying that when the ghosts get a little bit too much for him, he says to them, right, well, that's enough now. It's closing time. Get back to the churchyard where you belong. So I think we'll just nip inside and have a word with him. So we're actually sitting inside the Badger's Inn, and Richard, you're the landlord, but you've not been here very long.
No, came here end of September and reopened it after it was closed for a few months.
And things have, you've stirred things up a bit, or?
Well, it seems to be, yes. I mean, before I actually moved in, my son lived here on his own, and the first instance was he was locking the pub up one night, and the brass bell on the bar gave a single ring just as he was going out the door.
Right.
And first thoughts to calm him down, because he was living here, was to say, it was your mum. She's just letting you know that she's around, keeping an eye on you.
Right.
But since then we've had various incidents. One of my bar ladies, my manageress, Ella, she's seen Ernie, who used to be one of the landlords a long while ago.
Right.
He often watches the staff. I don't know whether he's just checking to see whether they're okay.
Highly likely. Checking the place is being run properly.
Yeah.
Because he lived in this part, didn't he? Is that right?
That's correct. I mean, what is now the restaurant used to be their living quarters, and he used to sit in his lounge smoking his pipe with his 2 dogs.
Right.
Now you quite often smell the pipe smoke in the restaurant, and I just say to him, look, you're not allowed to smoke in the restaurant. You know, you can go in the bar.
Right.
But I say to the staff, you know, if they encounter anything, just say to them, look, drinking up time's done, go back to the churchyard, that's where you belong, not in the pub.
So do you think, really, that most of your ghosts, because you've obviously got more than one, are probably buried in the churchyard?
I would have thought so, yeah, because the church has been here, must be as long as the pub's been.
Yes, of course.
Around.
Yeah.
I mean, because this was formerly the coaching inn. It wasn't the actual village pub.
I see.
That was across the road, formerly called the Brook Arms, until the squire of the land around here decided he wanted it as his residential home, and the coaching inn then become the pub.
Right.
So we've had incidents of Victorian ladies, especially at Christmas time, and that's not just seen by myself, but the residents, the landlady and landlord before me had a little girl, Christmas before last, while she was opening her presents, there was nobody else in the pub, just the family, and she had a total white glow around her, as if there was somebody else with her.
Yeah.
But we've also had incidents of people sat in the bar, and there's been an old man sat on the end of the stool.
Crikey.
But there's been nobody actually there, but he's shown up in pictures.
Good Lord.
For some reason.
What about this little boy?
Well, story has it there was a family visiting the place or stopping here, and down at the back of the property is the river that runs through, and apparently he was down there playing and he actually drowned. So I believe he is actually buried in the churchyard, but he can be heard around the premises.
Really?
But we've also got a little girl. Now nobody seems to know much about this little girl, but she resides in my daughter's bedroom. It's got a built-in wardrobe, and quite often you can hear her sat in there giggling. Apparently the story goes that she used to play hide and seek, and that was one of her favourite hiding places.
Yeah, yeah.
So apparently you can quite often hear her sat in there giggling.
Good grief.
Although my daughter's not said nothing to me yet, but she did wake up one morning and all her clothes were soaking wet, so we don't know why.
Good grief. So all in all, I mean, you've obviously mainly got happy spirits here.
Well, since we've been here, yes.
Yeah, because
we've not encountered anything nasty or anything like that, but the people that were here before us apparently didn't get on very well with them, and some very weird things happened to them. So, but again, it's only village hearsay, so I can't really comment on that.
But basically, they're happy with what you're doing.
Yeah.
And because of that, are well, not going to bother anybody.
Not at the moment.
They're giving you a pat on the back, basically, for running a decent pub, by the sounds of things.
Yeah, well, that's what I like to think, and as I said, I keep saying to my staff, if you see them, just have a joke with them. You know, they can't hurt you, but we can do them an immense damage. So just let them get on with what they're doing
and send them back to the churchyard.
Send them back to the church.
I love that, Richard. That is fantastic. Thanks very much indeed.
You're more than welcome.
Cheers.
Thank you.
And this is the ruins of St John's.
That's right, we're here within the ruins of St John's.
This is your favourite bit, isn't it?
My favourite part of the whole of the Chester Ghost Tour. And the reason is just above you here. Just in the walls is a
Oh, I don't believe that.
It's amazing. It's one solid piece of oak which has been carved out with the shape ready to receive a body, missing its lid, but it is engraved with the words "dust to dust."
But in Old English.
In Old English.
With F's instead of S's.
That's right.
What's he doing there?
We're not sure exactly how it got there. There's 7 or 8 sort of explanations which are going around. My favourite, and the one which I tell and seems to evoke the most paranormal activity, is that it belongs to a young lady who lived here in Chester. Right. She courted a sestrian, a gentleman from Chester, and he treated her very well during that courtship. Once they got married, things changed. He became very jealous, very possessive.
Oh dear.
He eventually locked her in the house, and as things got worse, he confined her to a room. She just lost the will to live, stopped eating, and eventually died. And that's my explanation as to why the shape of the body is so thin.
Oh, of course!
No, it said that after death he still didn't trust her. He didn't want her buried down in the ground where he couldn't see her. So he had a place right at the highest point he could, so he could sit here and forever watch her coffin, keep his eye on her even after death.
Oh, I say.
Now, she's also said to haunt this area, just here and also in front of these ruins. The ghost of a white lady is quite often seen, always looking downwards, her head covered, looking very sad. And it's said that she's looking for a final resting place and that she's always looking down and never thinks to look up and find peace.
Good grief. Well, it's rather strange because while we were actually looking around here, people will laugh, I know, but I was walking down these steps. We were doing a rehearsal, and I would swear that there was something grey up there.
Lots of strange things have been seen here. As part of the ghost tour, as I start talking about this coffin, you'll notice a really sudden drop in temperature. Lights seem to flash on and off, and previously people have caught orbs flying above my head on digital cameras as I've spoken about it, so quite a scary area.
So it's not impossible that I could just have seen something.
That's
there.
it. Many people have, so you probably did.
Fantastic.